So there has been a lot of pressure on countries not to use this flexibility. And I think the TRIPS waiver also comes as a response to that, that whenever countries have tried to use that flexibility, they have come under immense pressure. So in a global emergency, such as the current one, it just makes sense that, we should create full freedom to operate and collaborate by lifting the intellectual property monopolies. And I think in the context, in the context of the TRIPS waiver, it has really created greater global awareness, not just about limited access to vaccines and therapeutics, but just limited access to medical tools generally in developing countries, and how intellectual property can also impact that with respect to masks, PPEs, ventilators, various medical devices. And I think this presents the visibility given by the TRIPS waiver proposal presents a really good opportunity for advocacy and policy change at the international level, but also at the national level, to ensure that intellectual property laws and related systems are aligned to national needs and to access and development needs. So this brings me to my next point. Typically, before COVID-19, I think a lot of the discussion on the impact on intellectual property has centered around patents and access to medicines. But in the current context of COVID, the ongoing disparity in access to a wide range of medical products and the TRIPS waiver proposal that covers across all health technologies, I think has increased awareness that the issues and concerns of intellectual property go beyond patents. And this was also mentioned by speakers before me. It extends to trade secret. There are issues around copyright. There are issues around industrial design. So if you look at the manufacturing standards, the process for vaccines and biologics, they're protected by trade secret and even protected by national regulatory authorities, because this information is contained in regulatory dossiers, which are then protected as trade secrets. In 2020, there was the issue, the case where, because of shortage of supply of ventilators, ventilative valves, there was 3D printing of ventilator valves, and there were legal firms that issued notice that this can actually lead to various violations of patents, copyright, and industrial designs. And in India, actually, in one case of Roche, the originator company asserted copyright infringement with respect to the package insert use of the product information of the originator. This was in the case of Herceptin breast cancer treatment, where Roche was asserting copyright infringement for using the same kind of product information in a biosimilar product. So this really highlights the importance of ensuring that various intellectual property law contain sufficient policy space to respond to national needs, including during a national emergency. So my third point is really that what the pandemic has really truly revealed is that production and supply of medical products, as well as inputs needed for manufacturing, is heavily concentrated. This is reinforced by intellectual property monopolies that erect barriers for new entrants. If you look at the data, the statistics, the world's top 10 exporting economies supplied 3/4 of world trade of COVID-19 critical products. And as we saw global demand exceed global supply, developing countries were being priced out of access to this COVID-19 products. So UNCTAD, the UN Conference on Trade and Development, found that in October 2020, that for each resident of in high-income countries, they had benefited on average from $10 per month of imports of COVID-19 related products, while in middle-income country, on average, they benefited at $1, and for lower-income countries at 10 cents. So the kind of the disparity in access is really staggering. So here, it's quite clear there is a need not just to expand production, but to diversify production and supply options. And as was mentioned, this is really the basic premise of the TRIPS waiver proposal, as we have heard. It was also mentioned that a common argument we hear is that there is no manufacturing capacity in developing countries. I think there have been now several reports that have proven this argument to be false. But I think importantly, even before COVID, many of WHO's pre-qualified vaccine across different platforms are actually from developing country manufacturers. And I think developing country manufacturers were really the main suppliers of vaccines for a lot of the developing countries, and I think this is what we see from the data of WHO.